brand new the new blade is. So pretty the SAE, and I figured brush hog and put a board up against the side of it to no sense in doing that. So I guess without further So I finished, for the most part, all of the welding that I've had to do on the brush hog, and I just, my brother and I yesterday took it over and put it in the back barn and flipped it over, ready for paint. So I guess I'm actually going to use it's that truck bed liner from Harbor Freight. But now what I need to work on is getting these old blades off the stump jumper. This is what goes up underneath the brush hog, and this is what does all the cutting on, you know, if you're cutting a field or whatever, or brush or whatever the case may be. And here are the new blade bolts. I'm hoping for this brush hog. Those two. And here are both blades. I showed this in a previous video, but I figured I'll show it again. So, do you see any differences here between the old blade and the new blade, and how worn the old blade is, and how obviously brand new the new blade is? So pretty amazing how much wear this brush hog gets, and who knows, these might even be the original blades on this thing. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get both of these nuts off. They're like 1.5 inches or something, just massive, huge nuts and bolts on it. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get these things off, because the impact I have is just a cheapy electric one from Harbor Freight, and I don't think it's going to have enough guts to take these off. So I had to buy, actually for this specific project, I had to buy some new impact sockets. These are the new sockets I bought, and they go from 21 millimeter all the way up to 50 millimeter for metric, and they go from 1 inch all the way up to 2 inch, and that is a huge socket. So I think I only needed the SAE, and I figured, why don't I just buy the metric version also, and I'll have a semi-complete set. I think these things were like $77 or $80 a piece. So not the cheapest, but definitely not the most expensive either. And believe it or not, these are actually a 1-inch drive. So I have to use a whole bunch of adapters and stuff to use these, and hopefully my electric impact will take these off, because if they don't, I guess I'll have to use a breaker bar and put the stump jumper back on the brush hog and put a board up against the side of it so the brush hog doesn't spin, and then hopefully take them off. But I'm going to take them off in preparation for this whole stump jumper is going to get painted also. And the reason I'm doing that is, if you think about it, this thing's just like a big pan, and if any water or stuff sits in here, it's going to rust it out. So I figured this is going to get painted also. I'm painting the bottom side, the top side of the brush hog, and the tail wheel and everything. So I figured this is going to get painted also, and I'm obviously not going to paint the blades. They don't need it, and it's just going to get worn off, so really no sense in doing that. So I guess without further ado, I'll try to pull these nuts off of here. I don't think I'm going to be able to, but we'll see.
So here I'm just using a torch to take these nuts off of the bolts, and believe it or not, the impact actually did do it. I had to go forward and reverse quite a few times to kind of chase the threads and clean up the threads, but it did eventually take it off. I was really surprised.
So I'm in the process of putting on these new blades on the brush hog here, and this is the stump jumper. I've got that truck bed line, and I also have the bottom of the deck truck bed line, so hopefully this thing will last us a good long time. And while I'm here, I'll show you. This is the blade, and it's a mono blade, item number LM850500, and it's for a 5-foot rotary cutter. And that's the Tractor Supply number there. Made in USA, which is kind of neat. So I've got two of those, and I also have two of these, which are the mono bolt kit, number 850946BK, also made in the USA. And I'm going to be putting on the new blades on the stump jumper here. So I had some problems before, and hopefully we've got them figured out by now. But this blade kit doesn't, or the bolt kit doesn't quite fit the stump jumper here, and I'm going to have to add in some washers on this, which I'm not super thrilled about. I mean, it'll probably be alright. And now I'm putting some, this is just regular grease, and I'm greasing up the bolts here, not so the nut slides on easier, so that in the future, whenever I go to take this thing off, that I can actually get it off. So those two will go on there, the nut will go on here, hopefully. And then there's a cotter key that goes in here also. And hopefully 2 washers is enough to do this. But this thing is so loud. This is a 38 millimeter socket, so metric, I guess. I could have used like an 1.5-inch socket also. But we're going to tighten this thing down pretty much as tight as this impact will get it. And I'll tell you what, electricity does wonders. We've got that pretty tight, and I think I can actually slide this cotter key in here, maybe. So we're going to loosen that up just a bit. Just enough that I could get the cotter key in there, like so. Yeah, that'll work. And then I just have to bend that thing around with a pair of needle nose pliers and a hammer. Because you do not want this blade coming undone, trust me. So we're just going to bend that thing up. And this one, I'll just bend to the side. Sort of like that, and you know what, maybe I'll bend this one up also. Alright, that thing is tight, and that thing should never come off, hopefully. So it's basically do the same thing again. And that blade needs to get worn in some. So we'll do the next one, and should be relatively simple. But yeah, this blade kit didn't quite fit this stump jumper. Now, yeah, I did have to go like this. There's really no diagram for these things for how this is supposed to go, but I'm assuming it goes like that. And we'll put some grease on this so that the next person that takes this off, it should come right off, hopefully. It's really not too difficult doing this. I'm surprised my Harbor Freight impact here, my Harbor Freight electric impact, was able to take these nuts off of here. The old ones off, at least. Alright, so that's all. Got grease on it. Stump jumper on. 2 washers. And the nut, which, where did that go? I dumped it out. There it is. So that'll get tightened down. This Harbor Freight impact here, I think it tightens down to like 230 foot-pounds or something. So that's exactly what I'm going to put these blades at, because you do not want these things coming undone. And we put our cotter pin in like so. Make sure that's nice and tight. And just bend the 2 ends around, and then the cotter key around And for the most part, that right there is how you change the brush hog blades on a brush hog. Now I know I didn't have to take the stump jumper off, but again, it was getting painted, and I figured this would be the perfect opportunity to put some new blades on this thing, and that's exactly what I did. But having some big sockets, I had to go out and buy some real big sockets to do this. And that's just one of those things. So now it's time to put the stump jumper on the brush hog and tighten the big nut down here as tight as this thing will get it. And then we'll have to flip the brush hog over and do some more painting, because the whole bottom side's done. And for the most part, other than the final coat of paint, that's pretty much it for the brush hog. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And hopefully I will see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.